Good morning, welcome to Line by Line Bible Studies. You hear there the opening bars from a new song I just released today on Memorial Day 2020. And you can find a link to it in the description. It should be in the stream description. I don't know, it should be in there. If not, it'll be in the saved video. If not, you can find it on my other channel. It's not currently listed on the website. It literally was something I wrote last Wednesday, so it's kind of been a mad dash here to get it ready by the time. And that's my other channel there. The title on YouTube is Memorial Day 2020, so it's not particularly notable for its title. The title of the song is The Bloodstained Bible. And it's an original song and not a scripture song, but it's all about the scriptures, I'll tell you that. Anyways, so continuing in the Psalms, Psalm 12. I should say that this is a study I didn't sleep last night. I'm just up working, and so I just let's just have a study. And then maybe I'll go to sleep. Psalm 12, verse 1, to the chief musician. Okay, that's the postscript from the previous one. We talked about that last time. So a Psalm of David, help, Lord, for the godly man ceaseth, for the faithful fail from among the children of men. They speak vanity, every one with his neighbor. With flattering lips and with a double tongue do they speak. The Lord shall cut off all flattering lips, and the tongue that speaketh proud things. Who have said, with our tongue we will prevail. Our lips are our own. Who is Lord over us? I'm going to have to pause at least somewhere. Well, let's just do the whole psalm here. Let's just take it all in. I just realized I didn't have the next psalm loaded up. Well, we'll see. For the oppression of the poor, for the sighing of the needy, now will I arise, saith the Lord. I will set him in safety from him that puffeth at him. The words of the Lord are pure words, as silver tried in a furnace. A furnace of earth, purified 7 times. Thou shalt keep them, O Lord. Thou shalt preserve them from this generation forever. And I'll say going in that the actual wisdom of continuing with a live stream in spite of having no sleep last night may become more and more apparent to me as I go on, because I thought I was pretty sharp about 10 minutes before I got started. 10 minutes before I decided to get started. I'm like, how will this go? I already said Furnoise or something. Okay. The godly man ceaseth, the faithful fail from among the children of men. A lot of these things, it's like I said with a lot of scriptures, they're not meant to be taken in an absolute literal sense any more than, because it's like, it is the perception of how we feel. We look around us and we feel like, as far as things go, as far as like the way the world is being run, where are the godly men? Where are the faithful men? From among the children of men. It seems that it's not just, like, I know men who are good men. I do. I know godly men. I know faithful men. But there was a time when the godly and faithful men, or there have been times, you can think of when godly and faithful men did things by being faithful and by standing in the way of God. You know what I mean? They accomplish things. It's one thing like when we just sit back and we say, here we are the godly. Here we are the faithful. Yeah, we're faithful. We sit back and we are so faithful. We continue to believe in the things. We believe in the good things. We believe that right is right and wrong is wrong. We believe that abominations are abominations and glories are glories. But when one looks at the landscape of the world, So, I don't see out there the righteous. I mean, I can see it. I see someone, but I mean, like, think about what the view we have in the world. The godly men, like, where is their power? And their power has been diminished. The faithful have been put to the side. They had better ideas. They had better ideas. Right? They spoke vanity, everyone with his neighbor, flattering lips and a double tongue. You know, to say one night, double tongue means they'll say flattering things. There's people like this all the time. When they're with you, they'll talk to you real nice. Be nice to you and act like they're your friends. As soon as you're gone, behind your back, they will stab you and try to undermine you, to diminish you, But it also has to do, like, as you might guess, I'm very mindful of current events, which don't usually get into my studies at all. But that shows you how big current events are. When they get into my studies, it means that it is a big deal. I'm not saying it's necessarily... But, here's the thing. Is like, there's very little that happens in the world that isn't somehow connected to prophetic things. That's what I'm saying. When you start talking about when you're in the end times, you're talking about tricky business. And I don't get into that. I don't believe we're in the end times. But we are in perilous times, just like there have been many perilous times before us, in which you see things being asserted in the world. They say very nice things. We're going to protect you. We want to save your lives. Stay healthy. They say, and if you do what they say, you go along, then you become, you're praised. You know what I mean? They'll tell you you're doing a good job. Good job. We're all in it together. You're doing a good job. Just keep marching directly into those gas chambers over there. Because that's essentially what people are doing. And they let the government come in and say, like, just stop everything. Stop earning a livelihood for so many, not everybody. I mean, just non-essential people. You know what they do with non-essential people do? They put them into furnaces. The non-essential. And what do you need them for? Why are they even here? We don't need them. Who the hell is we? It's like, I don't know. Maybe politicians aren't essential. Maybe they're not essential. That's a possibility. But that, a politician is the quintessential flatterer of lips. They say one thing, right? And then they do something else. Or they say what they think you want to hear. In the meantime, they're stabbing you in the back. And they give you comforting words. They speak great swelling words of vanity, while at the same time trying to undermine and destroy your very life. And so many people are willingly going along with it. As I said from the beginning, I didn't mention it at the time, I guess, because I'm like, you know why? I didn't mention it at the time. It's interesting because when the lockout, I realized that the day the lockdown in my state went into effect was the anniversary of when I received the Holy Spirit 15 years prior, which was interesting to me, just because it was on that very day that the whole state was locked down. And on that very day, I made a, what would it be called? A non-essential journey to go work at my non-essential job and collaborate with someone face-to-face, because that's the only way to do what I do. Collaborate face-to-face so that I could continue to feed my family. That is the most basic, that when they start taking that away from you, they have stepped beyond their bounds. Remember, in this country, it'd be one thing if I lived under a king, I'd feel like, okay, God save the king. But I happen to be king in America. All the people. This is our republic. We are responsible for it. So at some level, when it starts going haywire, we all have to take responsibility for it, because it's been entrusted into our hands. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for it. But it's been given you, and a precious thing to have been given. They all speak proud things. We're going to do this. We're going to beat it. They always have plans. The wicked always have plans. The plan to reopen Illinois. There's a plan. The 5-year plan. Stalin had lots of plans too. In fact, with the socialists and the communists, it's always about the plan. And like having a plan means anything. Really, they make a plan. I've made a lot of plans. I got a book of plans. I got plans. You think about building stuff. You draw. You plan it out. You want to do your roof? Get a plan, right? But even so, some of these plans, I could probably the roof one's pretty good, but some of the plans I've done are scratchy. They're like, they're not based on reality. They're like sketches. Some of them may not even be a good idea. I don't know. I try to make good ideas, and I try to take my plans. The point is, having a plan doesn't tell you anything about the nature of the plan. But they tell you, oh, this is all, everything they're doing for you is good. It's like, but you can't meet with these people. You can't do this. You can't do that. Oh, I can't? Like I said, I, from the beginning, do not assent that they have the right to do this. Like, I had to go do this because here's the thing. I watched half my business go away at the outside of these lockdowns. So I should just cast the other half into the fire and not keep working? Is that what I'm supposed to do? Just throw it in the fire? Just march into the gas chambers, all of you. There's no way. And I'm sure many people haven't. But it's like, you know what? It's like people who have need support so they can just stop obeying these unlawful orders. They're unlawful. Everyone should just start ignoring them today. Or tomorrow, whatever. Today's a holiday anyways. So we all have today off. Tomorrow we should all go back to work. It's ridiculous. For the oppression of the poor, for the sighing of the needy. That's what God rises up. God rises up on behalf of the poor and the needy. The people that don't matter so much. The only use that the wicked have for the poor is for someone that they can kick. But they'll speak great flattering words. Oh, yes. All they want to do for the poor. Here's what they want to do for the poor. We want to enslave you. You will be our wards. We'll take care of you. Just let us have all the power to do so. Give us the power. Sometimes whatever, I'm getting too off the rails. Our lips are our own. Who's Lord over us? We can say whatever we want. That's one of the things that Jesus taught, that men shall give account of every idle word in the day of judgment. You think about the things people say in confidence that they think nobody hears. I've said things, there are things in my life I've said where I'm like, well, I hope nobody hears that. There's things I've said in life that got heard that I wish nobody heard of. Like, there's a funny story. When I was in college, I got interviewed about the backpack. And I think to this day you can still look up the interview. I got interviewed about my backpack, and I referred to it using profanity about, I talked to them, and then so they printed it word for word. It was my first ever experience with a newspaper. Printed everything I said word for word, which was an embarrassing interview. I was embarrassed. I almost wonder if those interviews weren't intended to be embarrassing. Or maybe it was the other guy was just having fun printing something that was a little bit off color. I don't know. But to this day, I look at that and I think I regret that. I have to account for and be held accountable for the things I say. some things I put on my website, I've had this misunderstood because some people like think, like I take speaking over the Bible and talking about God very seriously. Some of the political things I've been saying, it's like, it's a lot of times I'm not saying God's telling me this and God's, because it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm not sure. I just feel so strongly, I will just do it. And then I'll find out whether the Lord had, in the result, I'm going to find out, like, was that the right thing? Was that the right thing? It seemed right. It seemed right to me. There's a lot of, because here's the thing. There's going to be oppression. Like I said, but it's hard for me to see how when you could do otherwise, that you just roll over without saying anything. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to, when fate arrives, to accept it with grace and faith in the Lord. It's another thing to simply just without thought allow the wicked to not only harm, like me, the harm to me personally from what's been going on is, well, like I said, it's been somewhat, but that doesn't even make me angry. But when I think about the overarching effects upon the broader culture, society, and the world, and God only knows how much suffering is going to come from this, because there certainly will be more to come because of the economic damage and destruction that has been wrought. It will hurt the poor the most. The poorest people in the world are going to suffer because the people in the richest parts of the world panicked and laid upon the altar of their fears the industrious and the conscientious people in their countries, and destroyed many of them financially. And where exactly is that going to go? What is the result of this going to be? So all these leaders need to be removed. There's just an absolute, it's just like, where are the godly men? Where are the faithful? I don't see them out there. I see some things, some good things, but like on some level, when the reason I wrote the song I did is because there's a message in it I'm just not hearing, which to me is like, it's a lot more adamant than what I'm hearing. They're like, well, they're still talking about like, maybe the governor will let us. It's like, what are you waiting? Let me live. Let me, like in Michigan, let me plant seeds. I need permission from the government to do that? No, that's not right. We are the government. They derive their just powers from our consent, because in this land, the people are king. And I have freedom of speech, so I can at least articulate for some segment of the mental process of the public good that what that right thing is, what that good is for the nation. And one thing it is not is like to ever do this again. Never do this again. This is just the wrong approach. And the fact that some people are still hanging on to this absolute disaster and exasperating it, whatever, making it worse. They're out there making it worse. Not a good idea. Not a good idea at all. I think that's it's so irresponsible. It borders on I would rather think it was malicious, because the thought that we were under the oppression of such incompetence is more terrifying. You know what I mean? I'd rather think they were just really smart and trying to some great conspiracy. That would be comforting. If this was all a grand conspiracy, as some people say, like to get people vaccinated or stuff like that, I'm much more cynical. I don't think it's any kind of conspiracy at all. It's a conspiracy of incompetence. Fundamental failure of vision. some people think they can just say whatever they want. Our lips are our own. Who is Lord over us? We'll say what we want. This is the fundamental thought of what goes into a lie. You know what I mean? I don't have any responsibility for if I lie, the ends justify the means. If I get the result I'm looking for, there's no overarching God that says what is right and what is wrong, that anyone who can judge what I say. If in my heart I don't feel it, if it's just a flattery from an outward expression out of my mouth, a lie. If that's what it is, do I bear some responsibility to God for that? Nah, not me. And I'll use my tongue to win. I use my tongue. And you can see, like, just the way the people who control the levers of what you get to hear, how much just disinformation is passed, and how they're so derelict in their duty, it's not even funny. And not even funny. It's like astonishingly, it's come to be, I think if it had been slowly happening, I would be astonished. Like if I'd fallen asleep 20 years ago and just woke up today, I would be astonished. God rises up. God does hear our prayers. He hears the prayers. And I think, it's like, I don't know what's going to become of the future. But I know that whatever is going to happen is going to work out for good for me and for those who love the Lord. And so the Lord will set us in safety from him that puffeth at him. Puff, I'm assuming that means blow. To puff, to blow. I'm sure that's, like, and I'll talk about what that, let's see. Puffeth. Yeah, to breathe or blow, it's puach. It means to breathe or blow. To breathe. So the idea is like, why would someone breathe at you? Well, I think in some ways it's sort of like, huff and puff to blow my house down? Sort of like he's trying to, by almost blow away with words, or to, maybe it means pant in this context. Sometimes it means to pant, like they're greedy. They want to, like a dog, ready to devour something. The idea of like. Maybe that's what it means. But obviously, contextually, it's like this is some sort of an aggressive move. The puffing is not like, it's like, or it's like I said, something like maybe a pant or something like that, like an animal. I don't know if they use that word also for pant. Let's look at that real quick. See, let me show you how you can figure things like this out. Wrong button. I want to do browse internet. I got my song in my head. All right, so it says puffeth. Where's puff? Puff right there, right? Go to the next window. And you see on the right hand side, it'll say here Englishman's Concordance. This will show us every place where this word is used. As for his enemies, he puffeth at them. For which he longs. It's used in safety from him that puffeth. In the safety for which he longs. Oh, the idea, again, see, notice they translated it here in the New American Standard Bible, for which he longs, because the word puff, like I said, often has that idea of to pant. It says breathe or blow, but sometimes it means like the implication is like the idea of panting. It meaning like if you're, like when an animal's thirsty, they might, are hot. Animals pant because they're hot, like dogs do, but we often also associate a panting dog with a dog that wants to have a drink very often, right? You see them all panting, and they want a drink. And so here, and that's put for the idea of longing. So set him in the safety for which he longs. I don't know if that's actually the right way to say it. I can. That's an easy way to I mean, it's not hard to plug that understanding in. The sighing, the oppression, and put him in the safety that he longs for, perhaps. So either way, I mean, it's not going to fundamentally change the ultimate meaning, which is the deliverance of God, right? From the oppression, from the sighing, from those things which provoke those powerful human emotions, which come from distress. The words of the Lord are pure words, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. 7 in the scriptures is a number that often is associated with a very complete spiritual idea. In Revelation, for example, you'll see the 7 trumpets, the 7 vials, the 7 vials, and the 7 seals. There's also different 7 angels, 7 churches. There's a lot of 7s all throughout the book of Revelation. It's usually considered very, it's a number that comes up and it's significant. It's like, that's why I always feel like, oh, I've got 7 sons. That's like a big deal. It is for me. I don't know if it's like anyone else needs to pay attention to that, but to me, I feel very blessed in that. I mean, so silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times, is saying extremely pure. Like we run through probably an excessive number of times. I mean, like to remove impurities over and over again. And thou shalt keep them, O Lord, thou shalt preserve them from this generation forever. And I think what this actually means, it sounds weird though. What it's saying, thou shalt keep them, I believe that means that you will keep your word. I mean, that's what it's talking about. Preserve them, preserve your word from this generation forever. I mean, not from this generation, like, I'm going to keep my word from you. That doesn't make any sense, right? So it means, like, thou shalt keep thy words, O Lord. Thou shalt preserve thy words going forward from this generation, even forever. That's my paraphrase of it that, and I forgot to put it on the screen. That's what I think it's saying there. And just for confirmation, I would hate to, put a wacky thought out there, but I think if I looked at another translation besides the King James, there's an example where the King James does fall a bit short. As much as I love the King James, it's kind of silly to think it doesn't. Should we check the Devil's translation? What does the NIV say? And of course, I don't really believe the NIV is the Devil's translation, but that's just my little joke. Because for some people, it's very, but it's a thought-for-thought translation. So you can trust them to not translate word for word. They will interpret for you. But let's see if their interpretation, we can freely strut about. Where's the Lord? Our flawless Lord, like silver purified in a crucible 7 times. Now keep the needy safe and protect us from the wicked. Okay. Who freely strut about. Wait a second. No, that's verse 8. Protect us from... I don't know. Maybe I got it wrong, but, whatever. Translators don't seem to agree with me. Maybe I'm wrong. Probably am. I just think it makes, at least based on the English of King James, it seems like it makes a lot more sense. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we have the New American Standard, which is probably a better overall translation than King James, but not as beautiful. You know what I mean? So you, O Lord, will keep them. You will preserve him from this generation forever. Again, I think that pretty much means, from now to eternity or whatever, right? The wicked strut about on every side when vileness is exalted among the sons of men. The more vileness is exalted, the more the wicked go around strutting. They walk on every side. I mean, they go here, they go there. I like that they decided to translate that strut. I mean, it's a pretty easy, but that's not probably a very highly literal translation, but that is probably the thought in which it was intended when the prophet wrote it. Oh, not the prophet, David. Let me get back to the other screen. There we go. All right. And they strut around when vilest men are exalted. You know, the more we exalt the vile, the more this vileness becomes more and more prevalent in society. And the thing is, you know, I'm gonna say I've never really talk about specifically about like our current like president. But I'll say this, you know, there are different things it says in the Kings, like, you know, this man, he did this, he did that, you know, a lot of things. He did not that which is right in the sight of the Lord. But then it says this of certain ones that he did right which was in the sight of the Lord. Didn't say he was a good person. Didn't say he was a moral person or had lived an exemplary life of, you know, moral, whatever, you know, of, you know, an example to all, a moral paragon, a virtue. But it's a question of what do they do when they are in the position of power? What do they do? And you know, you see, I remember there was a point where all kinds of people were screaming for the president to lock the whole country down, just arbitrarily. Like that's incredibly unconstitutional. It's not only unconstitutional, like it's actually, I don't need a law to know that's wrong. You can't tell people like you're not allowed to make a living. Now maybe for a very brief emergency or something like that, but even so, honestly, even the emergency, I don't think you should compel people. I think they should be just urged strongly, and they should make patriotic appeals to them, and everyone should just make an appeal. All right, everybody, you know, like, be very careful. I had to work, and I had to do so against the orders, whatever. I know they were authorized by law, but you know what? I don't need the authorization of law to keep going about lawful activity to support my family and still taking reasonable safety precautions. That's my business. My safety is mostly my business. I gotta watch out for my safety. Nobody's watching for my safety. Safety? You know what's unsafe? Torpedoing your source of income, your livelihood, torpedoing the world economy. That's exceedingly risky, dangerous, unsafe behavior. Stay safe. Stay safe. You know, stay at home. Don't move. It's one of the most dangerous things you can do is freeze in a dangerous situation. Don't stay home. Don't stay home. Don't stay safe. Be alive. You know what I mean? Life is more than just cowering in a corner and letting the world that you have a part in building fall apart. It's like just because they say so, it's like there was an argument at one point early on that we should bear with it and stuff. I still disagree with the whole "I command you, thus saith the Lord of Springfield." Thus saith the Lord, thou shalt stay at home. It is the Sabbath of the Lord. It's going to go on for 2 weeks, no 4 weeks, no 8 weeks, no 12. The Sabbath of the Lord governor, and none shall work therein. Well, I've certainly had a lot of time to meditate upon this glorious Sabbath. I just didn't realize I had a Lord down in Springfield. Well, who would know? Still, his message hasn't quite got through because I'm not obeying orders. And I think everyone else should stop obeying them too. We should have stopped a long time ago. And God only knows what's going to happen because of it. The wicked walk on every side, even if they end it now, the catastrophe has already happened. We only need wait for the ramifications. The blowback will be considerable. I just can't, you know, there have been many times when they were threatening about economic catastrophes and stuff, and I always thought, you know, I don't know, they've been talking about that forever, but it's like, This time I just have a try. I don't know everything about these things, but I look at it and think like, how can this not wind up being a catastrophe? You can't print trillions of dollars and at the same time shut down all kinds of businesses and throw people into unemployment and not think that's going to really have some highly, highly negative consequences that they are not. A lot of them don't think it's going to touch them, but it will touch you. It will touch you. So, now's the time. Every moment counts. I'm not going to go to another chapter. Like I said, well, how long is chapter 13? Maybe we should do another chapter. And I apologize for anyone who dislikes this turn that things have taken. I really do. And no one needs to write me and say like, "Oh, it's great. I want to hear more like that." No. I mean, that's all right if you have that. You want to tell me that? That's fine. That's only 6 verses. Let's look at Psalm 13. We're definitely going to continue in Psalms this week because I don't know how I'm going to get out of it just yet. Well, I know where I'm going next, actually. I'm going to do another New Testament epistle, probably Colossians. But I just want to go along in Psalms more. I'm enjoying it a lot. It's a nice change of pace. We won't do the whole book of Psalms in one setting, like I've said. All right, so to the chief musician, a psalm of David. Well, to the chief musician, once again, according to Habakkuk 3, the way that lays out Psalms, that probably belongs, the verse probably should have been divided right, actually, more like here. That's where the verse should have been. And this is actually a postscript to this. At least according to my Bible, and I read the reasons why the scholar who wrote my Bible thinks that, and I think that sounds pretty good to me. And a lot of it makes sense. Is it important? Not really. It's just an interesting side fact along the way. A Psalm of David, how long wilt thou forget me, O Lord, forever? No, I'm sorry, that's not a good reading. How long wilt thou forget me, O Lord, forever? How long wilt thou hide thy face from me? How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily? How long shall my enemy be exalted over me? Consider and hear me, O Lord my God. Lighten my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. Lest mine enemies say, I have prevailed against him. And those that trouble me rejoice when I am moved. But I have trusted in thy mercy. My heart shall rejoice in thy salvation. I will sing unto the Lord, because he hath dealt bountifully with me. All right. How long, O Lord, wilt thou forget me forever? Again, it's just expressing a common human feeling. If you've never felt forgotten by God, felt it, then you were probably raised in the faith and you've had an excellent upbringing and you've followed the Lord in the most righteous way I could imagine since your youth up. I mean, as far as the most, maybe not righteous to me, I don't mean to dig at anyone. Like, I would say, like, if someone actually say, like, I've never felt like that. Because you'd have to be really well taught to have that kind of wisdom from early in your life. From my youth up, it's like, no, not me. That's not my life. My life, there were times when I felt like, I felt it. I didn't think it. That's the funny thing is, I didn't think God has forsaken me. But I felt God forsaken. I mean, Jesus Christ himself from the cross says, my God, why have you forsaken me? And some people think, yeah, he literally forsook him. I was like, no, he was quoting the Psalms. And it's what the human spirit cries out to God. And what happened on the cross is the response of God to that human cry of, why hast thou forsaken me? And then he said, they pierced my hands and my feet, but he has not despised nor abhorred the affliction of the afflicted. Neither hath he hid his face from him. But when he cried unto him, he heard. Psalm 22. The actual verse in that is Psalm, like when I said the part about, Psalm 22, it says, yeah, my God, why have you forsaken me? But then you read like, verse 24. Let's put it up. It's always it's an important point for me. It's funny because, I don't take quite, well, it's not important, that part. just going to talk about someone else's teaching and how that, this is something I share with some other people. It's like some other people that maybe I don't agree with, but not precisely the same way. But I do definitely think Psalm 22 doesn't mean that God forsook Christ. Like, taking that literally is missing the point. And they build whole sermons on that, taking that literally, even though the only evidence for that is just that he quoted that psalm. And I'm not saying when he said it, he wasn't feeling it. But the point is, he was touched with the feeling of our infirmities. God never forsook Jesus because Jesus was God. He never ceased being God. Even on the cross, they say he became sin on the cross. Did he at that time also stop being God? Yeah, because he became sin, God turned his back on him? No. Because he became sin, God did not have to... God showed us his face. You know what I mean? Because he hath made him to be sin for us who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. So, through his sacrifice and what he went through our faith in him, we who are sinful, are able to approach God in faith, trusting in the words of Jesus Christ that the promise which he delivered to us would be fulfilled. That if we turn to God in faith through the name of Jesus Christ, that he would hear our prayer and respond to us, even though we are people who he, by all rights, ought to turn his back on. But here at verse 20, Psalm 22, you see here, this is Psalm 22, right? If you look at verse 1, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Jesus quotes this on the cross. You look down at verse 24. Part of the conclusion, it's like, it goes through all this stuff, right? I mean, this is how much Jesus quoted this on the cross. Yeah, I am poured out like water, all my bones are out of joint, my heart is like wax, it is melted in the midst of my bowels, my strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue clings to my jaws. Thou hast brought me to the dust of death, for dogs have compassed me, the assembly of the wicked have enclosed me, they pierced my hands and my feet. I can count all my bones, they look and they stare at me, they part my garments among them, and cast lots upon my vesture. They gambled for his clothing. But then he asked, deliver my soul from the sword, my only one, my darling, from the power of the dog. And then it says, hey, praise God, because for he has not despised nor abhorred the affliction of the afflicted, neither hath he hid his face from him. But when he cried unto him, he heard. Even though they cried, God, why don't you ever hear me? God, why are you hiding your face from me? We're wrong. We say that. We feel that. But we are wrong. He has not despised you. He has not forsaken you. That feeling is a lie. And the fact that Jesus was on the cross proves it's a lie. How long will you hide your face from me? I'm not hiding my face from you. You know what I mean? You shut up yourself from him. That's how you got into the position you are in the first place. It's like, you're hiding. It's like, hide my face. You've been hiding your face from me. And you know why? Because you're ashamed. You hide your face from God because you can't look God in the face. How could you? How could I? How can we look God in the face? What have you done with my talents? What have you done with that which I gave you, with that which I committed under your trust? What exactly did you do with it? You look God full in the face with an open face and say, let me tell you all about what I did. Ready to give a full report? Ready to give a full report of every idle word? Thank God for the mercy of Jesus Christ, by which we can stand before God and pass from judgment to life and stand before the mercy seat of Christ. And God will look at us with a predisposition to mercy. Not only a predisposition, but a promise. A promise to mercy. We put our trust in him. Put your trust in me, and I will be merciful to you. So anyway, I've trusted in thy mercy. It's funny. I know I read it. It must be on the back of my mind. So consider me light in my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. Now, I could point out that's just one more little brick in the wall. Talking about when I talk about death, death is sleeping the sleep of death. Death is like sleep. It's not something I made up. It's just an idea people get from the Bible, because the Bible kind of says stuff like that. It's like, there's no thought or anything. It's like this black unconscious state. Kind of like when you sleep, but you're not dreaming. That's what death is like. There's plenty of scriptures that give that impression. Many more, in fact, than that most of the other doctrines are based on. I mean, you have to take take it as a whole. I know people got verses. They're gonna say, "What about this verse? What about that verse?" I did a big write up on that whole subject a long time ago, called "I Believe in Death and in the Resurrection of the Dead." And I don't like to beat this to death, but as we're going through Psalms, how many times this is going to come up? It's going to come up a lot. There's a lot of little here, little there, that give one the impression that death is an unconscious state where there are no, nothing's really going on. I think it's like the state of non-being in death means that there's no passage of time either, which is good, because basically the moment you die, the next thing you know, it's going to be the judgment. So it will be from the subjective experience of the one dying. They sleep the sleep of death, but they immediately awaken on the day of resurrection. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast in the lake of fire. This is the second death, and whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast in the lake of fire. So let's see. How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart? Okay, how long? Hide your face. Okay, we covered the hiding your face. Okay, good. I better move on. How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily? How long shall my enemy? So this is the length question. Like, how long is this going to go on? Now, this is a little more advanced questions. Like, first, God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you hiding your face from me? Why are you not even paying attention? And then it's like, okay, you're paying attention, but how long? How long? I don't have the patience for this. How long am I going to have to wait and think and take counsel in my soul about what am I going to do? What am I going to say? How long is the enemy going to be exalted over me? Consider and hear me. I mean, that's a good question. It's not an unfaithful, it's like, hey, how long? I'd like to know. You know what I mean? It may not be a question we deserve the answer to, but it's a reasonable question. It's something people feel. I want, like, how long is this going to go on? Because knowing how long helps you, like, when you have an indefinite thing, it's right now, it's like, think about, like, in my state, we're not going back to normal until they get a vaccine. That's not even guaranteed they're ever going to come up with a vaccine. It's not even fully clear that they actually need a vaccine. I mean, like, to restart the world? I don't think so. And they can work on that. And we're going to keep on working on living. Otherwise, there's no point in developing a vaccine. We're all just going to die. We're going to either starve to death, or we're going to start killing each other. That's not a good thing. That's not the thing I want. You take people's lives away from them. What do you think they're going to do next? Our leaders are so incompetent, it stuns the imagination. Like, you could have a hard time imagining more incompetency than we have these days. How long shall my enemy exalted? How long are they going to have power over me? Because here's the thing, even though I'm going to defy the orders, right? But all my neighbors, not all of them, but I mean, people around me, they're obeying everything. And they're being fearful, staying home. They're not demanding that these other things, and the world is shrinking. You know what I mean? The world of commerce and of productivity is shrinking. That is a horror that we still haven't seen the repercussions from, because it's going to put such a strain on everything. God only knows the end of it's going to be. Really. I mean, I would love to be totally wrong. This is not something I say as like some sort of prophetic, like, word of the Lord thing. To me, it's just like obvious. To me, it's like I don't need to invoke God to see what's playing before my eyes. But it could be. Could I be wrong? I don't usually say things that I think could be wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Am I a big current events type person? No. Maybe I'm overreacting. Yeah, sure. Maybe everyone else is overreacting, or maybe everyone else is underreacting. There's definitely some overacting going on somewhere. I'll tell you that. I have prevailed against them, and those that trouble me rejoice when I move. Ooh! And the hours are creeping up on me. No, actually, they're kind of starting to hit me like a ton of bricks, actually. Lest my enemies say, I win, he's dead. Open my eyes, lighten my eyes. Hear me, that means show me the way. I need my eyes lit up so I can see what's really going on clearly. Sometimes in my life I feel like I see things clearly. Other times I feel like I don't. But sometimes I realize that I never see things as clearly as I could, as they ought to be. And it's so important to see clearly what's going on. If we don't have a clear vision of what's before us, there's no way we can know what we're supposed to do. If we don't have a clear vision, it can go to the worst thing of all, which is you die. You know? But Jesus taught us to fear not him that can kill the body. But afterwards, they can't do anything more, you know? It's just a screwdriver. I don't know why I'm playing with it. I just like it. They can't do anything more than kill your body, right? You know, and for some things, it's worth being dead. You know, I trust in God for the resurrection. I don't want to die. But there are some things for which it's like, you know what? If, like, for saying certain things that people don't want to hear, or for standing up for the truth, it wound up in being my demise. That's a story I'll be happy with. I'll be happy to live with that story. I'll be happy to lay my life down on that. What am I laboring for anyways? Trying to take away everything from people that they labored for in their lives. Take away their reason to live. You know, suicides are on the rise. I'm not thinking of it. But I'm thinking of the people, though. How many people feel like killing themselves? This is becoming too bright. There we go. A little chill out there. There we go. So anyways. All right. All right, go away. There we go. Prevailed. So let's say they're going to feel rejoicing that they have victory. God, don't forget me. I'm here trying to do your will. And how long? Show me the way. If the enemy will say, I won. If I was any kind of servant of yours, that's what they're going to say. Ha. You know what I mean? Like, so nothing he said was of any importance, because look at what God did with him. He let him into our power. And we prevailed against him. We prevailed against God, his God anyways. Are you my God? Or have I none at all, and I just imagine I have a God? Where is my God? They will say, where is his God? And they will rejoice at seeing me being moved. You know, they love, which could mean like, see me hurt, see me bleed, see me suffer. I mean that metaphorically mostly, but also I suppose physically, you know. I just mean like, you know, there are all kinds of ways people can be hurt. You know, I don't know. I guess, in some sense, like, short of bleeding, is any of them something to complain about? Some people are rejoicing in the crushing of all these small businesses. It's the only thing it can mean. It's punitive. The other thing I was going to say, if I could say anything, is that the people who run businesses are some of the most trustworthy and conscientious people in the nation. And even little tiny business owners. And they certainly could have been trusted with taking precautions to reduce the spread of disease in their establishments. If they'd only been entrusted with that sacred duty to preserve life and to look out for their neighbors, which they would willingly have done, we could have saved so much of the pain which is about to be imposed But there was another word I wanted to use, though. I couldn't remember it. Jammed up our noses? That's what they're doing. They're jamming it up our nose for their own political... Because while they're doing it, they think they want to win. You know what I mean? And they think they're doing what's best. But since they made a decision to do what they did, they can't go back now. They have to just hang on hoping it's the right decision, or hoping that they can spin it in such a way so that it'll seem like it was the right decision. I have prevailed against those. I've trusted in thy mercy. Ultimately, that's the thing. I trust in your mercy, God. I'm going to stand before you in the judgment. I'm willing to lay my life down in faith because I know that God is my judge. And no one can kill me. They can only put me to death. But God will bring me back from death. And my enemies will see it. And those that hate me will know that he has loved me. And so, I mean, I already have like the ultimate revenge story pre-written, so I don't need to worry about revenge in the world and all that stuff. But the thing is, it's like the pinnacle of the temple. You don't tempt God. If God, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not just going to sit around folding my hands and say, well, the Lord will take care of it. The Lord is taking care of it. That's why he sent me. You know what I mean? When I offered myself for service, it would become necessary that I should serve. I didn't scroll down more. Oh. You know what I mean? Like, what did I think it was going to be? It's like, there'd be no actual service involved with this whole volunteering thing. You know what I mean? Like, I volunteered for the Lord's service, and then all of a sudden he asked me to serve at some point, right? And I'd be like, oh, I'm shocked. I didn't expect that. I thought I would just fold my hands and wait for you to act, oh Lord. But he acts on our hearts sometimes, moves us. I feel very moved. Mostly because when I think of all the people who are being hurt and suffering in the little corners of this world right now, struggling to survive, and not just in America, all over the place. A lot of people don't even consider the misery that already exists out there, and they were just clawing their way out of utter poverty. Then this hits, and God only knows what's going to happen next. It's not good. I will sing unto the Lord because he hath dealt bountifully with me. God's dealt bountifully with me. I will sing unto him. Some people don't know, like, sometimes the good and evil in the world baffles people and they don't understand. But I know this, that I trust the Lord and he has been good to me, and I will sing to him because he has been very bountiful to me. It makes me think of that guy whose video I put up with the missing arms and stuff. Missing arms and missing legs, who was nevertheless living a happy, abundant life. At least, God, it's going to be so hard. Like I said, if everyone was born like that, we'd think nothing of it. I was born like everybody else. Like most people, all my limbs intact. Grew up in America. That's better than a lot of people get. Better than most people have ever gotten. And all we have is people unhappy that like the wealth, like they look at the wealth around them that's been created and they think, I should be filthy rich. And then they will vote for, not filthy rich, but I'm saying they're covetous. So they want free money and stuff like that. And they will vote for more of that. They don't want to be free. They want to be, they will in bondage themselves if they will just have someone else take responsibility for them. Man, that's just not America. That is not my country at all. Anyways, so that's an hour. I made it. Wasn't completely out of my mind. We will pick up with Psalm 14:1 tomorrow, I think. All right, I'm going to try to keep this week. I'm going to be tired as heck today, and I don't know. We'll see. But thanks for joining me today in the study. And I look forward to being back again to study with you real soon. So, let's, is it still playing? Okay. Here we go. Hey, and check out my song.